On the second day of TISL, things got off to a quick start in the Senate. It all started with TISL Bill 13, which would replace abstinence-based sexual education in schools with non-abstinence-based. The bill originally had a majority of the Senate's support until an amendment was brought along. The amendment added a new part to the bill, giving parents the option to remove their kids from the non-abstinence-based education if they wanted to. But not all supporters of the bill were in support of the amendment.
And I don't support the amendment because I don't think that it's a parent's right to tell a student what they should or not get information about. Because just like someone brought up the evolution debate, I went to private high school and we still had to learn creation and evolution. So I think that learning both sides, learning that in the bill it said that yes, technically abstinence-only education is the best, or abstinence is the best way, but that's not going to happen. So I think that stating both sides and saying that this is what you need to do if you're going to have sex is a good way, and I don't think that it's a parent's right to know what's best for the student, because there are super religious parents that don't, or stuff like that, that don't want their children to know these things, but I think that it's their place, it's a child's place to decide what they want to know.
This brought up the argument that if the amendment did not pass, then some believed this made the entire bill unconstitutional.
And my stance on this previous bill was that it was unconstitutional based on the First Amendment rights of the citizens of America. The bill actively discriminates against Catholics and Shia Islam who do not support birth control. And the Supreme Court rulings of the United States and the Constitution both directly state that the United States government cannot endorse nor persecute any religion.
And as a result of the debate on whether or not this bill was constitutional, it ended up being sent to the Attorney General.
So basically, why I decided to send this bill to the Attorney General for review is basically at the beginning, right before, basically TISL Bill 13 was brought up before we went on recess for lunch, and everyone seemed on board with it. It seemed to be making sense. We came back, there was an amendment put on it to allow parents to have students opt out of this comprehensive sex education. And words like unconstitutional started getting thrown around, and I thought, while it's really important that the Senate take into consideration what is constitutional and what is not, our best purpose here is to let people who are here to determine the constitutionality of bills to do so we can move on to bills in that time and be able to get to other bills that matter a lot to Tennessee. So as for my stance on the bill, I think that if the Attorney General comes back and says, we need this amendment to make it constitutional, I'll still support the bill. But I think it's okay as is in terms of what it's trying to pitch, which is trying to limit, the amount of sexual transmitted diseases that happen in high schools, particularly for minors, lower the pregnancy rate for teens in Tennessee. But then again, I want to adhere to the Constitution as much as everybody else does. So I guess that's really what I wanted it to come down to, is kind of efficiency and making sure we had a clear answer.
Depending on the Attorney General's ruling, the bill may or may not come back to the Senate. I'm William Dickinson for TISL Media.